Welcome back to my series Autism Weekly. Today we'll be talking to many people who are both on the spectrum and people who have friends or family members on the spectrum to see how autism affects them on a day-to-day basis. I will be gathering vox pops from the various people about their opinions. I have gathered are from people who are on the spectrum. The questions I've chosen to ask them are related to how they deal with autism in their life. How long have you known that you have autism?
I've had autism for quite a few years.
How does it affect you?
It affects me by me feeling extra sensitive to stuff. So like with sounds I can pick up on all sorts of things. It's not just me focusing on one. Like I would hear many conversations and I'd feel like in a cramped space even though I was spaced out.
What advice do you have for autistic people?
I would say if you just need that time to recover or relax, just use that time and just don't feel pressured with school or college. Like you are your own person and it's completely fine to do whatever you would want to do, and if you need that time out, go and take it.
How long have you known that you have autism?
Don't know.
How does it affect you in your life?
It's hard to say for some of it. It's hard to say because I have different things different things that I struggle with for different things. Like I don't know what things are for what things.
Do you have any advice for autistic people who might be struggling?
Not really, because I don't think I've had this for not long.
I've also asked many people who deal with people on the spectrum about what coping mechanisms and help there is for autistic people. However, as I have already said, autism affects people in different ways, so the coping mechanisms suggested may not work for everyone. Do you have any coping mechanisms for autistic people if they're feeling stressed or uncomfortable?
I would say a quiet area.
What would you suggest for any non-autistic people to do if they see an autistic person having a meltdown?
Not to approach them and get in their personal space.
What would you suggest for parents or teachers about coping with the changes in surroundings, such as transitioning from primary school to high school and then to college?
To make sure all key workers who are working alongside that student are kept in detail with rooms, any important information that the student needs to know, and stuff like that.
Do you have any coping mechanisms for autistic people who are feeling stressed or uncomfortable?
An autistic person could use a fidgeting device like a tangle or a piece of rope. That sometimes helps certain people. Access to a quiet room is usually one of the best things that they could use, and having people around them that understand them.
What would you suggest to a non-autistic person to do if they see an autistic person having a meltdown?
To leave them alone, don't approach them, to take some understanding that they might not be seeing the world the same way that this autistic person is.
What would you suggest for parents or teachers who are coping with changes in surroundings, such as transitioning from primary school to high school and to college?
I think the best thing that we can do is that all teachers and anybody involved with that student pass along the relevant information on how that person is best supported and how they cope, but to make sure that there's plenty of time between transitions to get that person comfortable with new surroundings.
Do you have any coping mechanisms for autistic people if they're feeling stressed out?
We use quite a few breathing techniques and mindfulness techniques. We use a thing called Peace Begins With Me, where we put the index finger and thumb together, then the middle finger and thumb together, then the ring finger and thumb, and then the little finger and thumb, while saying Peace Begins With Me. And that's really helpful. It stimulates pressure points on the fingertips that actually physiologically make you feel calmer. We also use attention to parts of your body, so maybe tense up your toes and then relax them, tense up your ankles and then relax them and go all the way from your toes to your head.
What would you suggest for any non-autistic people to do if they see an autistic person having a meltdown?
Really important that they would stay calm themselves and to use a very quiet tone of voice probably not to look at them directly too much. Try and make sure that they're safe wherever they are. Remove things that they could hurt themselves on. And I would say only to really deal with it with that person if you are kind of experienced and qualified to work with that person. Otherwise, let someone who knows them deal with them. But most importantly, stay calm and be fairly quiet. And kind of try to reassure them it'll be okay.
What would you suggest for parents or teachers about coping with changes in surroundings, such as transitioning from school?
The whole business of transitions within a sort of a public building are really difficult because most transition areas make it even harder because they'll potentially, say in a doorway, you might have a change of texture, you might have it up until where the door hard floor beyond it, and these things that a lot of people don't understand, they're hidden barriers because that line on the floor can act as a psychological barrier. Some people with autism find it easier to transition if they've got something heavy to carry, so to just say, well, would you mind taking this big pile of books to the next lesson with you? I know that a lot of schools give people a hall pass a few minutes before the bell so that it's easier for someone who's overstimulated by crowds to get from A to B without the noise and the hubbub. So a lot of schools are doing it right, but I think to keep on doing the research on the hidden barriers to transition would be useful.
Do you have any coping mechanisms for autistic people if they're feeling stressed?
If there's loud noises or anything, use earphones or soundproofing earphones to support and calm the young person down. Also have little Twizzlers so that they can play with or fidget with while they're listening to tutor giving a lecture, and also coloured paper. I'm working with one young person at the moment. When he feels stressed, if I give him a card, a yellow card that's covered in laminated, he likes to look at that, and it really calms him down for him to have probably about 5 minutes time out within the lesson.
What would you suggest for any non-autistic person to do if they see an autistic person having a meltdown?
I'd suggest that they stay calm. If they feel that they can't deal with the person who's having a meltdown, to then go and get an appropriate learning support worker or tutor to calm the person down.
What would you suggest for parents or teachers about coping with changes in surroundings, such as transitioning from primary school to high school and then college?
I think transitioning is really important, that the young person who's transitioning is aware of that transition and work with the young person at their pace to be able to transition from, say, school into college, so that learning support workers actually go out to schools and meet the young people that are going to transition into college, so that they already know a couple of the members of staff that will be supporting them within the college environment, and then support workers in place to do meet and greets to alleviate any stresses that the young person might have, because they might not know which classroom they're going into or how to get around college initially, and then work with them at their pace to be able to then independently move around and go to the lessons on their own, and then the support worker meet them at their lessons.
After listening to the Vox Pop, you will now know that there are many coping mechanisms for people on the spectrum. However, there are still many more coping mechanisms and support out there for autistic people. For more information all about autism, make sure you check out https://www.autism.org.uk. That's https://www.autism.org.uk. I highly recommend this website since I found it very informative and it helped me a lot while I was researching information for this podcast. Thank you for listening to my third and final podcast in this series. I hope you found this podcast series informative about autism. Make sure you share this series with your friends and family if they have any questions about autism that they would like answering.